if there is no customer service policy, how can this affect a business? I think it might be killing a business, right?
Well, it'll kill it.
And this is silly. Companies
Absolutely.
pay millions to develop products, to
Yeah.
develop services, to develop infrastructure, and then it can get killed just by one
Yeah.
silly mistake at the front line.
Just spending a day or a day and a half with these people and doing a proper customer service training with them can actually have fantastic benefits. It increases the turnover. It increases the retention of staff. Staff are happy. People are proud to be working inside the organization. And they're beginning to make profit again.
This is Challenger Brands, helping you build better brands and businesses. Hosted by Illustrado, the brand development and creative agency for ambitious and audacious challenger brands.
Welcome to another episode of Challenger Brands, where we talk about branding, marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, and everything else to help you build better brands and businesses. I'm Lalaine Chu Benitez, and in each episode, we talk to industry experts to help you with your business. And today, we will be talking about something that's very important because we belong to an age where you can get a lot of complaints on sites like Google Reviews, on Yelp, on Facebook, and so many platforms. Customer service is so important right now, and if you don't have a policy, it just might kill your business. Today, here with me is the very charming Georgina Kelly. Georgina Kelly is a business mentor. She is also specializing in customer service and sales training. Georgina has her roots in brand consultancy, and she has been an entrepreneur for 30 years, and she has helped so many different businesses, from multinationals to SMEs, a lot of which have already blossomed into FTSE 100 companies. And she helps not only in advising brand building, she also helps enhance productivity and drive sales. Georgina, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Lalaine. I'm delighted.
Georgina, I was going to say that every time I see you, and every time we chat, I feel like I have to have an elegant cocktail in my hand, right? As a matter of fact, I think before we start the discussion, let me tell the people out there that Georgina is also a linchpin. She is the recognized, community leader of entrepreneurs in Ras Al Khaimah. So go Ras Al Khaimah. Georgina is our gal there in Ras Al Khaimah. You help a lot of businesses out there. So yeah, thank you for what you do, and I'm so glad that you joined us today.
I'm delighted to be here.
Okay, Georgina, to start off our discussion, tell us how you got into customer sales and sales training, customer service and sales training, rather.
It actually happened, not by choice, but or by design. It was actually a fluke, to be honest with you. As you mentioned, I've been in brand and communications for a long time. And so working with organizations on creating brands from scratch and corporate and brand identity work. And a lot of the young entrepreneurs and those who are starting out in business, they needed a lot of hand-holding. And they used to ask me about putting business plans together, about putting cash flow projections together. And then we would get chatting then a little bit more in depth. And I'd say, well, how are you going to sell this product or service? You've got a wonderful brand identity, lovely name, blah, blah, blah. How are you going to sell it? And they say, well, I'm going to get in somebody to come and do it for me. And I'm a great believer in if you've got skin in your own game, you should be there. You need to roll your sleeves up and be part of the process itself. You can take yourself out later on, but you should certainly be in there at the beginning. And then I would talk to them then about customer service, and they had no idea what on earth I was talking about. So I decided to do some business mentoring properly and charge a fee for it instead of giving all this knowledge away. And then people started saying to me, would you train our salespeople? Would you train our customer service people? And I said, yeah, sure, okay. And that's actually how it grew, purely, organically, and by I suppose, a fluke. And 4 years later, I'm still doing it, and I absolutely love it.
I think it comes so natural for you because not only your skills, even your personality, you're so people-oriented. And I wanted to ask Georgina, it seems obvious, like you said earlier, it seems obvious that companies should have a customer service policy, right? It seems obvious, but it isn't for so many companies. So what is the benefit of having a customer care policy for those companies who are not having one right now?
Okay. Well, you've got the obvious ones. If you want to take it from a company point of view, it raises the profile and all the rest of it. But I think the most important reason, I think, why people should have it is that a lot of staff are not trained in customer service, and it's not something that comes easily to everybody because we all come from different parts of the world, and some of us get it, some of us don't. Some of us go overboard and some of us do absolutely nothing. And I think you need to be able to have everybody on the same page. Everybody, especially if you're in retail, you're in spas, you're in food and beverage, you're in restaurants, anything where it's face-to-face interaction with the customer. I think you have to have everybody on the same page. So you've got to teach them. You've got to give them skills. Sometimes you actually have to teach them how to be confident. Sometimes you might have to teach them just how to deal with different cultures. You might have to sort of educate them about how different cultures are, why they are that way, what they expect. Some people expect over-the-top service, other people are happy with something in between. Nobody expects bad service, but different nationalities expect different levels of service. Some people will sort of cut you a little bit of slack. If 80% of the way you're there, others will cut you no slack, even if you're 40% of the way there. So it all depends. So that's the main thing. Get everybody on the same page.
So like I said earlier, it seems obvious, but it's not really obvious, is it? Which companies are those with the most urgent need for a customer care policy?
Oh,
is there any
urgent?
such thing?
No, to be honest with you, I think every single, anybody who's in business, and not unless you're dealing and selling to robots, if you're selling to the Joe public, you need to have some sort of a policy there. And I think every company, anybody who's in business needs a customer service policy.
Because I think most companies practice like this. You've got the service or a product, you've got the staff, now go sell. If some problem happens, let's see what we can do about it, right? So
Exactly.
That's the typical thing. If there is no customer service policy, how can this affect a business? I think it might be killing a business, right?
Well, it'll kill it. And you will kill your business if you start. Okay, let's say you're a small cafe restaurant, okay? And let's say you employ about, say, 9, 10, 11 people, okay? Between two different services, morning, afternoon, late afternoon, and evening. And you have no customer care policy in place, or no customer service policy in place at all. You will definitely kill your business, because when people are not treated right, they're not treated with respect, people don't remember their names, people get the orders mixed up, people just make mistake after mistake after mistake. They will stop coming to you, which means that you will soon have a business with no clientele. Nobody's walking in the door. People are talking about the bad service. People will talk on forums. They'll talk on communities. They'll put something on TripAdvisor. This could be for a larger hotel. This even could be for a large department store. People will talk about the bad service that they've had. And it might not necessarily be the staff's fault, because they don't know what they don't know.
Exactly. And this is silly. Companies
Absolutely.
pay millions to develop products, to develop services, to develop infrastructure, and then it can get killed just by one silly mistake at the front line, right?
I've done quite a bit of work with companies who's actually spent a lot of money on brand consultancies, and you and I know that that can be a proper penny when you do it the right way. They have a fantastic identity, their interiors, they brought in an architect, it looks absolutely super, and it should be extremely profitable. And then they're wondering why they're not making any money. And the first thing I notice is that the staff don't even know anything about each other, number one. Forget about customer service with the client. They actually don't even understand what makes each other tick. They don't understand each other's jobs. They don't understand the challenges. They don't see where the gaps are. They have no experience whatsoever. And just spending a day or a day and a half with these people and doing a proper customer service training with them can actually have fantastic benefits. It increases the turnover. It increases the retention of staff. Staff are happy. People are proud to be working inside the organization. And they're beginning to make profit again.
That's very good. And as we say in branding, in our industry, Georgina, your brand promise is only as good as what you deliver to the customer, how you affect customers at every touch point. Now, how do we not kill our business?
Well,
where do we start? What are the hallmarks of a good customer service policy?
You got to start at the very beginning. And okay, we're both gals from the branding background, which is great, because we both understand the fundamentals of brand value. Every single employee in your organization needs to know, what are your brand values? Why did you start this business? What do you stand for? What will you not accept?
What's your why, right?
What's your why? Absolutely. Once everybody understands what the brand values are of this organization, then that's where you start. You don't say, well, this is what you must do. No, because every organization is different. So let's understand the brand values and let's put a mission statement together based on those brand values for the team, not for the company. This isn't something that you just put in a corporate brochure.
Exactly.
No. This is going up where the team see it. The people who come into the restaurant or the cafe or the business see it. And it's what you stand by. You live those brand values. Then you can build on something.
Exactly. Take us through the fundamentals of a good customer care service policy.
Well, the first thing is everybody on board with the brand values, number one. Everybody must be trained on how to deal with the clients, number two. The different kind of clients that will sort of walk in through the door. They need to be trained on communication skills. They need to be trained on tone of voice. They need to be trained on how they deal with awkward customers. They need to be trained on basically the customer experience, how to make it simple and a joy from start to finish.
Are there any other factors, Georgina, apart from these fundamentals that you've cited, like, for example, body language, any other elements like that that people need to consider?
They need to smile.
Yeah, right?
They need to smile.
It's a very simple solution,
Yeah.
and yet it seems like it's an elusive thing when you
Absolutely.
visit businesses.
And also, they need to be curious about people. You need to want to know what makes people tick.
Yeah.
If we're in a hotel today. Now, it would surprise me if the majority of staff here don't know who the regular clients are and what their preference is. I think you need to watch people. You need to understand what their preferences are. You need to understand what is it I can do to help build customer loyalty.
A lot of that sounds like you really just have to be a nice person who might want to serve people, right?
You have to. You do. You really, because if you're in the service industry, and we all are. Even I myself. You know, I'm doing training. I'm doing business mentoring on various things. But I have to go the extra mile with some people, and not everybody is nice.
That's
You
true.
know?
And who would you want to work with?
Because that's human nature.
Definitely.
The world is the way the world is. And we can't change the world, but we can change our own little environment and how we actually relate and deal with it. And I think if you're curious about people, and if you genuinely get out of bed in the morning and say, how can I make a difference today in my life? And if you just start with that premise with yourself, it automatically translates to everybody else. It's amazing how the mindset changes.
Again, very simple tips, but there's a lot of depth in there. There's a lot of substance. I urge everybody watching and listening right now to really think about this carefully for their organization. And while we're at it, we will be thanking our partners for today, Rove Hotels. Thank you so much for supporting us always.
This is Challenger Brands. Please subscribe to our channel and share our content. Follow us on our agency's social media pages, Illustrado.co, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, or subscribe to our newsletter via our website, www.illustrado.co. Thank you to our sponsors for today's episode. Rove Hotels. Rove Hotels are a jumping-off point for city explorers, simply designed for the young and young at heart. Born in Dubai, Rove is an award-winning lifestyle brand offering well-designed hotels, fuss-free service, and great value in well-connected locations. More than just a bed for the night, Rove provides rovers, the missing link to connect you to the city like a local, and explore the track less trodden in a relaxed environment where you can be yourself. With sustainability, local art, and high-performing functionality at the heart of its brand, Rove represents a new niche of hospitality for the digital nomad looking to become part of the neighborhood, even when they're just passing through. Please check them out at rovehotels.com.
Georgina, you were telling me about this very interesting example earlier about how body language really helps in customer care. Can you just share that with our audience and listeners?
Well, this is very simple. I mean, I could go into lots of analytical stuff, but it really is the most simple things that make the biggest difference. And I was doing some sales training. And in the team, there was about nearly 30 people. It was a large group. And so we had salespeople, customer service people, etc., whatever. And there was one particular lady, and she was sort of in her 30s, so she was experienced in her job, and she was a Western lady. And she came up to me during a quiet period over when we had sort of a refreshment break, and she said, I've been getting quite a few negative comments coming back from clients, and I don't understand why. She said, I do everything I'm meant to do. I do it to the nth degree, and I deliver what I'm asked to deliver. And she says, I just don't get it. And I said, okay, well, look, we'll talk one-to-one later on. So we had lunch and all the rest of it, had the next refreshment break, and I just watched her. And then I realized the penny dropped with me. I thought, I know exactly what the problem is. So anyway, later, when we had our final refreshment break, I just went up to her and had a quiet word. And I said, you know, I know exactly what your problem is. And she looked at me. She said, what? You know, because this is the oracle talking now. And I said, I'll tell you what it is. You don't smile. You don't smile.
There you go.
And she looked at me. She said, is that it? I said, that's it. She said, is that all I have to do? I said, that's all you have to do. I said, you're beautiful looking, but you're very serious looking. And you come across as authoritative, and you come across as though you know what to do, but you come across as a little bit headmaster kind of, you know, headmistress kind of thing. There's a slight little bit of an arrogance in your tone of voice. I said, you got to get rid of that, and you got to smile. Anyway, a year goes by, and I went to the Arabian travel market here in Dubai, and I was walking down the alleyway, you know, among all the different exhibitions, the stands, and all I heard was, Georgina, look, I'm smiling. And it just so happened that her husband was in the same industry as her.
That's amazing.
And he said, you changed my wife's life. And he said, she just doesn't stop smiling now. There you go.
It's so silly because it's so simple. And
Yes.
all it takes is just to
Yes.
smile, right? Especially if you're in the front line, if you're dealing with customers. A smile eases that transaction. Being approachable makes it easier. So, and you know, like we always say, people like to work with people that they like, right?
Absolutely. And another thing I think that's very important is, I think, having your staff understand different cultures, because that's so
I wanted
important.
to ask you that, yeah. So how do you bridge the gap between cultures?
Well, I know how the majority, if you're from Europe, if you're from Central Europe, I have a good handle on that one. I'm from Ireland, okay? So I've got a good handle on how people are from Northern Europe, Middle Europe to Southern Europe. I've got a fairly good handle on Eastern European and Russian too, because obviously a lot of people here, and I've been here for 20 years. And when I speak to people who come from, say, maybe Southeast Asia or the Far East or whatever, nobody has ever sat down with them and actually said, this is the psychology of how the majority of Europeans can be. This is the North European, this is the Southern European, this is sort of Eastern Europe, this is Central Europe. And then when you sit down with them and you explain to them about sort of different personalities, different character traits, whether even local Emirati traits, then they get it. But nobody's ever sat down. So that's one of the things I do, is I say to people, what do you understand about different cultures? And they say, well, not very much. I say, okay, this is how you can relate to them. And then they're quite surprised when they realize that they can call some people by their first name and it's quite acceptable. Others, they don't want that. But just so long as you know where the boundaries are, where you don't cross the line, then it means then you've got a better understanding of different nationalities and different cultures.
Okay, this is a very interesting topic, and I want to drill down a little bit on this, especially since we belong to a country where there are multitudes of nationalities, right? We belong to a melting pot of cultures. Let's give some specific examples, Georgina, because you've got so much experience out there in the market. How should a customer service team deal, for example, with European customers?
Okay, take your lead by them. See how they approach you first. And if they're sort of say, hello, my name is so-and-so, and they give my first name and my last name, could you possibly please help me? You can call them madam or so first. But if maybe they've got a badge on them, let's say there's an exhibition going on, they've got a badge, you can say, can I call you by your first name? And they say, yes, that's fine. Western Europeans are fairly open and transparent, and they're very factual. They like people to get to the point quickly.
Okay.
They don't like sort of people to give them a long story before they get to the actual point. Other cultures, they like a little bit of floweriness sort of in a story.
Something funny I remembered, because so you don't go asking them, so how is your wife right now? How are your kids right now?
No.
Because that's a norm in this part of the world, right?
Yeah.
You ask about these things. So when you're dealing with...
it depends. It depends if you're in the corporate world or if you're in a hospitality world. It basically, there isn't a sort of a given rule for everybody. But let's say, okay, the corporate world, all right? So you're in the corporate world. With Westerners, it's time is money. Let's get to the point. Let's get this over and done with. Let's get a decision based on this quickly. And it drives them nuts when, say, they're pitching for a project or whatever it is and expect to get the brief on a Monday, pitch on a Wednesday, decision on Friday. And in this part of the world, you get your brief maybe by the end of the week, and maybe you get to tender for a job in about a month's
and there's
time.
small talk,
And you
which
wait.
is very
and there's
important.
There's a huge amount of small talk, because here people want to get to know you. What makes you tick? What do you stand for?
What kind of person
What kind
you
of
are,
person you are? Do you mean what you say? Do you say what you mean? Whereas if in the West, there's none of that kind of chit chat.
Straight to the point.
Straight, and even within Europeans, like Germans are very direct. Let's get it over and done with right now. Where I come from, we can be a bit more nosy, and we do want to know a bit more about you. You could be standing at a bus stop, and you'll be asked about 100 questions. You know, because people.
But that's normal there.
And that's very, very normal. So I think there isn't one fast rule, but I think take the lead from whoever is talking to you. Take the lead from the room. Take the lead from the person in front of you. What are they saying? How are they saying it? Look at their body language. Read the body language. They might even be in a hurry. People show that as well. So I think you just basically have to read the body language.
Any pointers for dealing with Arab, and then I'll go to Asian customers? What about Arab customers?
Well,
what's the best approach?
You can, if you're dealing with locals, they're very friendly. They're extremely hospitable, and they're happy to have a chat first, and get to know you, and you can ask them some questions. With other Arabs, it depends on where they're from. Some of them can be very like Westerners, to be honest with you. They're very sort of time sensitive, and they're very direct. Again, it's not a case of this is where you can put all the expat Arabs in this box, and you can put all the Emiratis in that. There isn't sort of one size fits all. Again, it's read the room, read the body language, read the person in front of you. What's on their face? What can you see? What do you feel? You've got to use your intuition an awful lot. Especially when you're dealing with the public. And I talk to people a lot about this, that inner voice and what you actually see. Normally what you're told, that inner voice, the first time, that's right. Listen to it, believe it.
I was going to ask about Asians, if there's anything there that's specific.
Best price.
Very price sensitive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's always demonstrating value.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I notice with a lot of Asians, and I noticed it even when I remember my favorite Chinese restaurant on the other side of Deira, which is, on the other side of Dubai. I'm a Deira girl, all right? I was going to say born and bred. No, born and bred in Ireland, but I would say Deira is probably my second home. And I love Deira. It's old Dubai. And there was a fantastic Chinese restaurant there, and it was run by a family. And they used to have a lot of graduates coming over that were sent over sort of to practice, their English language and whatever. But basically, you were shown a menu and numbers 1 to 50. What do you want? And there was no hello, how you doing? Take a seat. No. It was sort of sit down.
Super practical.
You're coming in here to eat because you need to be fed. You need to be nourished. That's it. There's no experience. You eat and you get out. And that was basically the premise of the business. But you just sort of accepted it. And
because you're there for the food after all.
And you were there for the food. And I even noticed when parties would come in for birthday parties, there was they might sort of sing maybe happy birthday to you, but they did the same thing. They came in, they ate, and they got out. To them, for a lot of people, I noticed that eating out is not an experience. It's just something that has to be done. There are other things that they do in life that is a real experience, but just eating out just doesn't happen to be it. Whereas for me, it is an experience. It's about communication. It's about the conversation. It's about the
Definitely.
people I'm with. It's about the stories. And I can make a meal last 5 hours.
I can imagine. I can imagine. But I think the bottom line here is that you should read a room, read a room, and find out what the best approach is, right?
Absolutely,
So be
yeah.
very, have your emotional quotient there on high.
Yeah. And also, I think there's lots of stuff out there online and on YouTube that you can skill yourself up with. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just sort of Google some things there. How to read a room, you know. There's a lot of stuff that is sort of maybe covers different sort of lines on psychology and stuff like that. But you can learn a lot of stuff online yourself.
Now, Georgina, talk to us about customer trust and customer delight.
Okay, well, the basic things with customers is that they want to be visible. How often have you rolled up to a reception desk somewhere and there are two people on the desk, one's on the phone or maybe they're talking to each other, you stand there for about 10 seconds and nobody sees you, you're totally invisible. So the first thing I think that we all want to be visible. We all want to be heard. If there is a problem, we want to be heard. We want to be treated with respect. We all want to be acknowledged, and we want the experience to be as easy as possible.
Tell us about going beyond. You were speaking about going beyond before. How do we go beyond?
Going beyond. I personally think that if you're able to go to the nth degree for somebody, they will always remember. They will always remember what you did. And there is a very famous lady, I think she's passed away now. She was an activist and a poet and a writer. And she ran around with Martin Luther King way back in the 60s in the States. She was a very good friend of his. Her name was Maya Angelou. And she once said that people may not remember what you said to them, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And I think if you can understand those words and what they mean, I think that this is what we all want. And it's how you make people feel. And sometimes you may do something that is outside of your job specification, and you go above and beyond what a client needs. And that's where you start then to see customer loyalty come in. This is where customers will remember you. They will ask for you. And they will certainly come back to the establishment again because of how you made them feel. And because you went above and beyond what you needed to do.
Definitely. And the reality is that it doesn't take much to go beyond, right?
No,
it doesn't take much to be a nice person, to be a service, oriented person. Georgina, it's very hot right now, so there are a lot of hotheads out there. How do people deal with angry customers?
Oh, that's a question and a half.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, well, the first thing I would say is take a deep breath and count to 3 and say, I got this. So you take a deep breath, you calm yourself, you let the person vent, whatever it is they're saying, let them get to the very end until they blow themselves out. So there's nothing more they can say. You are very, very quiet. You've listened to everything. One of two things will happen. You can turn around to them and say, okay, I've heard everything that you say. Can we now start at the beginning and you explain what exactly happened? I will listen and I will do my best to deal with it. If they don't kick off again and they're prepared to listen, you can take them off to one side very quietly, sit them down, offer tea, coffee, water, whatever it is. Just take the heat out of the situation. If they refuse to do that and continue to be abusive and maybe use bad language or whatever, again, let them get to the very, very end and you have a choice. You have a choice. And you can say, I don't know if I can deal with you while you're like this. I want to help you, but I can't while you're as angry as you are. You can either listen to me now or I take your number and I call you later. And then we can try to resolve it. Or you can walk out of here now and I will give you whatever money you spent with us, I'll refund it all, and I will just apologize on behalf of everybody. What would you like me to do?
I love that. You're so calm. You sound like you can defuse a bomb, Georgina.
Thank you very much.
It really does. It really sounds like that. But what happens if the customer is still abusive? Is there any point in time when a person who is at the front line should step back and leave the situation?
Well, yes, it depends. I mean, you could have a junior member of staff sort of dealing with a very serious confrontation. And sometimes you might have to get a manager in there, somebody much, much senior, a supervisor, a manager. Or you may have to just say, I really and truly, I'm not in a position to deal with this. It's not within my empowerment. I can listen to you and I can hear your story and I can take your details, but I haven't got anybody on hand right now who can be here. If you do, that's great. Go and find somebody. And you can't always win them all, because some people, you just cannot calm them down. Well, you might be able to calm them down, but you cannot solve the problem, because in their mind, it has gone just way beyond anything that whatever you do, you're not going to get them back. Now, that's very, very extreme, to be honest with you. I do find that if you just let people vent, because at the end of the day, when there's a problem, we want to be heard. That's all we want. Every one of us, when we have a problem, whether it's an airline or an outfit or a hotel or a restaurant or whatever it is, we just want to be heard. And if we think that somebody's actually listening to us, really, really listening, maybe taking notes, all the rest of it, we'll say, okay, let's give them a chance. So I think the very idea that somebody will never ever be able to let you sort of help them, that's very, very extreme. It can happen. But as I said, if you're a junior member of staff, don't deal with it on your own if you don't have the skills. Just sit them down calmly, tea, coffee, water, go and get somebody to help you. If you have the skills to deal with them, same kind of thing, deep breath, count to 3, listen to what they have to say, and say, okay, let's see how we can help sort this out.
I need to breathe more.
You need to breathe. Deep breath is extremely important. And it also goes for people who are in jobs where they're dealing with the public all the time, and maybe they lack a bit of confidence and they're not quite sure what to do. I say to people, just take 3 deep breaths.
It gives you time to compose yourself.
Compose yourself and say, I got this. I got this. I'm going to be fine.
I love these pieces of advice. Now, let's go to your top takeaways for today. What should people take out of this discussion today? What are the top things that you want people to remember when it comes to customer service?
All right. If you're a company owner, a manager, an executive, somebody of influence, the first thing you should do is those company brand values. Know what they are. Articulate them to people. Tell people what they are. Write them down. Get them up on the wall. Discuss them.
Live it, right?
Live it. Absolutely live the brand values. Listen to your customer, and I mean really listen, not pay lip service to them. Really listen to what it is they are saying. What are they asking for? Let's say you're taking an order, so there is no problem with anything at this stage. You're taking the order. What are they actually asking for? They're asking for this, but they want that piece of kit. This that doesn't go with that piece of kit. Interrupt them and say, are you aware this piece of software doesn't go with that piece of kit? Oh, no, actually, no, I wasn't. Okay. Maybe we need sort of to look at this. So listen, when you're taking orders, listen. The next thing you need to understand is you need to maybe streamline your operation, IT, see how you can make the customer experience better, more effective, more productive, so that you can eliminate a lot of problems, preempt it before it actually happens. I would say you need to put yourself in the customer situation, the client's situation. Look at what you're delivering from their point of view as opposed to your point of view. Smile more, be enthusiastic, and you gotta love what you do. If you don't love what you do, get out of it. You're in the wrong job. You're in the wrong profession.
That's
You got
true.
the wrong business. If you genuinely are just in it for the money, and you're not in it for the business and the people and all the extra bits that come with it, you should just get out of it.
Yeah, that's not sustainable.
No, it's not. And it's amazing how many people get into a business or start a business and they're doing it just for the money, and then they wonder why they come up against so many problems.
That's true.
You know, you and I have seen it time and time again, you know. And then for the employees' point of view, be enthusiastic about what you do. If you're not sure about anything, get some help. get some training. I think employers every year should do customer service and sales training. Put them both kind of together, because everybody is an ambassador of an organization who's working inside. Everybody has the ability to be able to help sell or to upsell. So I think for companies, skill your people, upskill your people. For employees, be enthusiastic. If you don't know something, go and get some help. Don't just do a job for the sake of doing it. Don't just do it for the sake of earning money. Go to the nth degree, and it's amazing the opportunities that will come your way. It's amazing the people that you will meet. It's amazing those doors that open, and you think, I started out here, and look where I am here now today. Because doors opened. It's a miracle.
Because it's from the inside out.
It's coming from the inside.
Before I let you go, 30 years in the business, you've helped so many people succeed, regardless of the business. And there are so many entrepreneurs right now that are facing so many challenges. Georgina, what's your life advice? What's the best thing you can say to an entrepreneur who wants to grow and is finding it hard to grow?
That's a big question. That's a big, big question. If you're finding it hard to grow, okay, all right. You're an entrepreneur. Sometimes you have a dream and a passion, all right? But you might not be a good managing director. You might be a good operations manager. You might be good at starting a business, but you might not be a people person, and you might not be good at managing people. I think you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. That's number one. Where you face challenges in things where you're not strong, bring in somebody who knows better. Don't try and do it all on your own, because you fail.
That's
You'll fail.
huge mistake is doing it alone, right?
You do it alone, and then what happens then is that you lose confidence and you start second guessing yourself. The other side of the coin is arrogance. So you've got one where you don't quite know yourself, and you might have, well, you've got humility, but you don't obviously have the know-how and what to do. The other side is thinking that you know everything, and then you're arrogant, and that's just as bad. But I think know your strengths, know your weaknesses, bring in the right people. You don't have to take on people full time. There's lots of people like me. I'll come in for a while. I'll work with you for a couple of months.
You're like a set of training wheels, right?
And also, I'm
Support.
actually working with a couple of organizations at the moment, and they've got 6 months to turn the business around. Otherwise, they go down the Swanee. They'll fail. They're not making money. They're not productive. They're not quite sure where the problems are. I'll go in and I'll only work with them for 3 or 4 months, but I'll diagnose where the problems are, because I can see exactly where people, processes, finance, sales, customer service, the whole thing. 30 years of experience, thank God, does not go to waste.
Definitely.
And I can see exactly where the problems are. And you start with your people, you look at then your processes. And one case I'm dealing with, the managing director should not be the MD. He needs an MD. He's a good ops guy, but he's not an MD.
Exactly. And like you said, you can't do it alone.
No, you can't.
No. All of us are not good at everything.
No.
There's not a single person who can do every single thing and who's an expert in everything.
No. And I think the other thing you need to do, you've got to always revisit that business plan. That business plan, when it was first written, it was a piece of paper that was a guide. It's not the roadmap. The roadmap changed, the road changes. And I think you've got to go back to that business plan, and you've got to relook at it and change it and whatever as your business grows. Because from day 1 to 12 months, your business will go a little way. From 12 months to year 2, it'll be a little bit different. And from year 2 to year 5, it'll change. And that also depends on economic circumstances, recessions, world recessions, things going on, things that are out of your control, rules and regulations. It's a living organism.
So you should be responsive. Where can people find the Oracle for entrepreneurs if they need your help? Where can they find you?
Well, you can find me at georginakellyme.com.
We will be sharing all your links also.
You'll find me there. That's the website. You'll find me on Instagram, GeorginaKelly_me, I think it is. I don't often look myself up, so... But LinkedIn, I'm a LinkedIn girl, and I will often answer you on LinkedIn. Instagram, I'm terrible. I can go a whole week without even looking at it.
But LinkedIn, I think, is
you'll
great.
Find me. Yeah, LinkedIn, you'll find me. Website, you can sort of connect with me there. Yeah, that's it.
What about the entrepreneurs in Ras Al Khaimah who haven't joined RAK Entrepreneurs yet? Maybe you
Okay.
want to invite
All right.
them, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a great believer in networking, and I think networking should be the cornerstone of anybody's marketing strategy and sales strategy. And I run RAK Entrepreneurs up in Ras Al Khaimah. We've got over 1,100 members, and that's for people who are in business, either executive managers, C-level, you're a freelancer, you're whatever. If you're in charge of the P&L, you want to be a member of RAK Entrepreneurs. We help each other, we advise each other, mentor each other. It's fantastic. And we've got a WhatsApp group, a Facebook group, and some fantastic, interesting stuff happening in the latter quarter of this year.
Please share that with us so we can share that with our audience,
Not
yeah?
yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but
Cooking
it's
it
a
up.
biggie. It's in the oven.
Please let us know. Thank you so much for your time, Georgina. This was really a very, very useful discussion, and I hope that our audience and listeners have really taken away a lot of good lessons that they can implement in their business. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope we can have you again. Okay,
Anytime.
This is not just going to be the last time.
Sure.
All right.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lalaine.
And thank you to everybody. I hope everybody got that. Guys, it doesn't take much to be nice. Apply that into your business. Everybody loves to work with people who are accessible and who can see them. So good luck on your businesses. Keep on doing it.
Please subscribe to our channel and share our content. For more actionable insights on brand and business building, follow us on our agency's social media pages or subscribe to our newsletter via our website, www.illustrado.co.